Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LCO.
Base race? It's a base race! They're marching, they're flashing, they're gonna go for this one! I don't believe this! I do not believe this!
Only aim for perfection, ain't no half-stepping. I'm gonna take you back, spitting facts, you gotta live with that. Who got it? Who won it? No problem, we mobbing. In the city,
Japan!
do or die, it's either all or nothing. Best believe I'm leaving out with something. Anytime I got the crowd jumping, throwing reds, you know they fist.
Just evaporated. Goodo locking them all in place, linking up with Kisee. That's an ace!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the LCO, delivered by Menulog. We are back in studio, and it's time to get into the action for Split 2. I'm joined, of course, by the wonderful Kitty, but two more familiar faces as well. We got Skimmy, we got Rusty, we got the whole crew here, live, in person, not necessarily on land, but look, we're all here in the same place, and we can have that connection.
This is the first time, Mac, we have actually been in the same proximity, like on the same camera shot.
For LCO?
Yeah.
True, because you're usually like over there or something, aren't you?
Yeah.
We're hiding.
Oh, it's exciting,
That's
isn't
crazy.
it? We've got a lot going on. So you moved down to Sydney. You're here now.
Yeah, well, I flew here.
Yep.
Depends what you mean by moved. I haven't got a place to stay yet, but I'm here.
Just running around, we're just rolling with the punches. Now, look, we have a few things to get through before we jump on into the action. So let's have a look at the format for Split 2. So, same as last split, of course. We've got that triple round robin coming through for the regular season. Best of 1 matches, so it's just, you know, those 4-hour broadcasts as you used to. Top 5 from the regular season, qualify for playoffs, and the bottom 3 teams are eliminated. Now, playoffs, same as before, double elimination bracket, best of 5 matches, which means there's a whole lot on every single one of those playoff days. And you need to remember that the winners of Split 2 get to go all the way to Worlds. I'm not too sure where Worlds is at the moment, but I know that the grand final, however, is going to be played at DreamHack Melbourne later on in the year. So that's going to be a fun time. You guys need to make sure you get those tickets. Need to make sure that you are there supporting League of Legends domestically. And look, you can meet all of us there as well, because we're going to be there, aren't we?
True. True, why not? I mean, let's just get rowdy about it. I mean, we've been
we
craving a final, haven't we? We've been craving a little bit of a chance to see the players on stage and also like feel the crowd. You know, there's something beautiful about hearing, you know, all these fans popping off when a massive play happens. You get goosebumps, and that's what you're in it for.
That's what you saw, you know, over at MSI as well. They were, you know, with the live crowd, there was a whole lot of rumbling going on throughout those games. Very interesting as well. Now, look, before we jump on into that, they are, of course, playing for a little bit of cash as well. So let's have a look at the prize pool. First place is going to be taking home $15,000 US. So that's a bit of a deal sweetener, as well as that qualification over to Worlds. Second place, $10,000 US, and third place, $5,000 US. Now, Kitty, if you came first, because you're challenger and you're good at the game, what would you do with 15K?
15K, I would get all the new skins with Rusty. I would share them with Rusty because he really wants the new skin line.
That's true, but I'd rather actually build gym equipment. I was thinking about it between the break when we did this in rehearsals.
Change his answer.
I want a garage
I'll ask,
gym.
what would you do with 15,000, Rusty?
I'd start a garage gym. That's majority of the gym
There you
done,
go.
I think, with 15K. So you can't finish second or third if you want it
Skimmy,
done.
what about you? I don't want to leave yet.
Move ESL to New Zealand.
Oh, move with 15,000.
There's a whole office.
We'll start up at the
That's
brand new
ambitious.
Kickstart.
Bitcoin or something, right?
Something like that, mate.
Yeah, beautiful.
We'll make it happen.
Hopefully that works.
GoFundMe page.
Now let's have a look at what games we're going to be seeing here on the LCO for the first day of Split 2. So kicking things off there at 6 PM, we got Order, Gravitas going head-to-head. Let's see if Order can start things strong after coming back from MSI. 7 PM, PGG up against Kanga. 8 PM, Direwolves and Peace. And then 9 PM to round out the day, we get a form check of Chiefs and Mammoth. Now, Skimmy, out of all those 4 games, which one are you most excited for?
It's interesting because you look at us at face value and say that there's a clear favourite in each game. I think for me, I'm looking at Peace up against Direwolves because Direwolves are always one of those teams that on the outskirts, right, always came in 5th. looking to try and cause a bit of an upset in Peace. Certainly did struggle against some of those lower teams at the best of times, right? So with the roster movements that have happened for pretty much all these teams, that certainly could be a game that has a few sparks flying.
It certainly could. What about you, Kitty? Anything that stands out there as well?
I'm not biased, but I'm also looking forward towards the Peace vs Styles game because I do know that there are some switch-ups in players for both teams.
Okay. So a few returning players. I think we'll be getting into that one in a little bit. But first, let's have a quick chat about MSI before we jump too deep back into the LCO. Of course, you know, some teams had to take notes. We found out later on that, you know, EG as well as G2 were both heavy contenders. Ended up making the top 4, both of them. And we didn't do too terribly against them in that group, but it ended up being the group of death for Order.
Yeah, it was, as far as MSI groups are concerned, you could definitely look at it in hindsight, like that was rough. That was really rough for OST because this is 2 MSIs in a row we've had a 3-team bracket. We haven't actually had another emerging region to strut our stuff against, essentially. And like, we did really well last year, so everyone came in with high hopes, but 2 semi-finalists, you know, like what do you actually expect us to do, man? Like, they're really good, and we're just trying our best out here.
And look, of course, Kitty made it on the broadcast too, so little congratulations for Kitty for getting on there. You know.
Yes, I kind of made the joke that NA is never advanced and EU is essentially useless, but it turns out that OC kind of went 0-8, and hopefully, you know, at Worlds we will do better.
Well, look, we are. It's a bit of a bottom of the barrel situation, so it's only up from here as we do get to Worlds. Now, let's hear from Order themselves about how things went there over at MSI.
I'd say that going to Game 5, it was more of a, let's just go out there and show what we can do. I think we just wanted to go in the game and have fun. We knew like Chiefs was like the real deal, and I didn't see us like throwing them because of how good they actually were.
We had like a pretty good progression of teams, like Direwolves, Peace, PGG, Chiefs is like pretty much exactly how you want your run to like go. Because you're going from weakest to strongest. Actually, I was kind of concerned that since we'd only won up to that point, that if we lost a game, we might spiral downwards.
But then when we 3-0'd Peace, like that was a huge confidence boost.
We knew like from then that we could 100% win.
Tire split, what a performance for an ace in a situation where they will claim the perfect trio. Order for the first time in the LCO will finish higher than 4th.
The most challenging team, I think, would be for us would probably be Chiefs. I'm thinking that's what everyone wanted. Like, we just wanted to win. It all synced into our heads. And we just played our last game.
It's Tally against the world! I don't think these bombs are enough. Kisee goes in one more time with the chains. They're under the Nexus turrets.
Order have done it!
For the first time ever, are going to win their own championship titles. They have dethroned the era of legends.
My favorite in-game moment was, I think it was just like the energy I felt from the crowd when like we killed Yankos in our jungle, and then like Kisee got a solo kill onto Caps, and then Bio got a solo kill onto BB.
This is an important pick. Okay, here we go. Kisee comes in, and that might just be enough. He is going to put that ultimate into the back. Caps wouldn't be able to play like that. That's a nice trade, actually, as the ult comes out from Broken Blade, but it's a bit too little too late.
Yeah, I think we just trust in each other's call more. Yeah, we'll just run from that.
I mean, I'm only excited to verse Chiefs again because I just want to, I want to win again, and I think they're the best team. I really want to show that I'm able to take the lessons that I learned from MSI. So I hope you can continue to follow me because I think this split will be my best one yet.
All the fans there, they cheered us on even when we were losing. I'm thankful, and yeah, I really want to go to another international event like MSI.
Okay, so Order, they've had a taste and they want some more. So that's an interesting, you know, little insight into what they went through. Of course, the recap of last playoffs as well for Split 1. Remember that grand final? I never want to forget that. You know, the full gauntlet ran all the way to the end and then a best of 5 with 5 games played. You couldn't ask for too much more.
No, you really couldn't. I mean, after we saw the series between Chiefs and Penn State, we're thinking that was the grand final rematch, right? And Order said, hang on a minute, just 2 seconds, stop the cap, watch us. And then basically had that entire flawless run all the way to the grand final and said, you know what, Chiefs, you've had our number, but this time when it really, really does matter, we're the ones to come out on top. So I think, once again, for another split, it's all game on again.
Have you had a Dare Us coffee today? I'm just wondering.
That's just me, naturally.
You're buzzed.
This is how I am. You're witnessing it live. It's beautiful.
Beautiful. And
That's
we
what
get
I
it.
cast with Mac.
We get it all night as well. It's beautiful. He's just, yeah, straight the whole time. So, look, anything you guys want to touch on as well, Kitty? Anything you took away from the video?
Well, the entire video was so sweet. You know, they were really humbled from the MSI experience, and we were all cheering them on. But you know, they're back. They're trying to prove themselves again and make it back to the world stage for next time.
Yeah, hopefully they can do that as well. I'm sure Order are going to try their little hearts out again this split. Now, speaking of this split, we got a few returning players. So 5 brand new players and 5 returning players who, you know, have played in the LCO OPL before and are coming back to rejoin a couple of teams. So we've got a few players to watch as well, but do you want to highlight everyone that has gone through?
The returning players?
All the returning players, yeah.
Well, we've got a fair few players that we're not too sure about as to what to expect from them, right? You know, they've obviously been scouted from solo queue and, you know, found themselves all across the different stages of that leaderboard. So what they can look to try and contribute to the team, whether or not they're going to have a starting position, we'll have to wait and see. But as far as a chance to, you know, go through the academy and sort of work your way into a starting spot and almost, I guess, like make a career out of esports, it's a good stepping stone. So I'm excited to see when they come out and sort of how the team plays around them.
Okay, well, let's have a look at the players we think you guys at home need to keep your eyes on. Coming back to the LCO for Split 2. So, Violet, we definitely missed him in Split 1, and I'm sure Peace did as well. Alidoric there, playing for the Chiefs now. You know, we did hear rumblings he might have been there for Split 1, but he is definitely locked in for Split 2. Direwolves picked up Dante. Well, he was there as a sub, but now he's straight in that normal roster. And then Lenia for Gravitas. Now, Rusty, why are we keeping our eyes on him?
Well, I mean, let me run down the list first because it's super interesting across the board, Mac.
Okay.
First and foremost, Violet and Alidoric were a bot lane together. So to see them separated in different teams, Violet, of course, returning home is very exciting for when Peace play against Chiefs.
Yeah.
Dante played 1 game and popped off. So all we know is that he's a good Kai'Sa player, but this isn't really a Kai'Sa meta as much as it was. So very curious as to how he'll do. And Lenia is a blank slate. We don't know a single thing about Lenia, so he's a player to watch because we need to watch him for the first time with all of you as viewers. We don't know, so we have to watch him.
It's a pure form check, essentially, is what we're waiting for. So we'll see if he delivers. It is another jungler. So, you know, most of the junglers in the LCO have been doing relatively well. I feel like, look, those bot lanes, we've had that conversation about who's going to have that best bot lane, especially with Violet coming back. Peace's bot lane was pretty good with Cheon there, but he's been benched again now, so that's a little bit unfortunate, isn't it?
For Cheon?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
really
for
tragic.
Cheon.
Given he was the only one that got a pentakill, right? He was the only person in the entirety of LCO last split anyway to get it. So he pops off against a big rival in Chiefs, and then they're like, okay, well done, mate. Get
It's
benched.
like Violet saying you're not ready. Like Violet was the original AD that he was behind, wasn't he? And then he's come back and he's benched behind.
It's like the
him
older
again?
brother comes home and says, oh, I'm the favorite son again, kind of thing. So yeah, unlucky.
You
but
weren't ready.
It's exciting times.
Maybe there's a chance for him to get, you know, picked up by someone else because we saw
True.
what he was capable of.
Look
Everyone
heavy.
saw what he was capable of. Now, look, before we jump on in, we are playing on a new patch, so let's have a look at the notes. And what is important, what's changed is 12.10 for at least week 1. Now, Rusty, you're the analytical man here. Out of all these things, what's most important?
I mean, all of these are important because this is like the TLDR of the patch, right?
Okay.
So every champion is now way more durable. They have more armor per level. They have more magic resistance per level and health per level, as well as 70 at level 1.
Yep.
So you imagine every champion at level 1 now, 70 extra health. That's 1 to 2 auto attacks. Already difference in how trade patterns work. The game's changed, right? And then they've nerfed shields, nerfed heals, including Vamp, and they've changed Griever's wounds to be more effective in general.
Okay.
With all of that in mind, a lot of champions that have either inbuilt scaling in their kit are really good now, or champions that just have really strong, like, even enchanters with this are still really overpowered, but like bruisers love this patch. Tanks don't like this patch, they're getting buffed already. And the game has kind of become rampant between like scaling carries and bruisers. That's really all there is.
Okay, well, I've heard that it's an enchanter meta again, at least for the supports, right? So, Kitty, do you want to talk me through about all these enchanters you love playing and why they're so good in 12.10?
My girlies are finally viable for pro play, and if we're gonna look at all the enchanters, this is my topic. I'm an enchanter enthusiast, is what I call myself. So we do have champions like the Twitch and Kog'Maw coming back into meta, which is paired really well with the Lulu. So Lulu is usually going to be picked with those two, and we did see Yuumi being picked at MSI by Carrier, and I don't actually know how it will do in this current patch. But if Carrier picked it, that means it must be good paired with the correct champions. And Renata and Senna are extremely good this patch. I think Renata is just good in general for those team fights, and it has a decent laning phase against these Enchanter picks. But Senna, you can pair it with anything.
Senna's nuts.
Senna's absolutely
Actually,
nuts.
just completely, because Senna's can be played as an AD carry and as a support, right? You've got the starving and the farming Senna's. Senna's being seen with, Tahm Kench, Wukong. I think Galio works with it. Reckless has played that with K-Corp. So, I mean, there's so many options that exist with Senna that she's already been hotfix nerfed and is still too strong with this patch. So, Senna's definitely very high on this list. Lulu Cog as a pair, like Kitty mentioned, definitely a duo to look out for. Also, Lulu Twitch running the similar build that you were talking about before, Kitty, with Titanic Hydra, Blade of the Ruined King. Something to keep your eyes on. And I just think, first and foremost, for the rest of this list, Gwen is overpowered, Gangplank is overpowered, Aatrox might be the third champion in that list for top lane. Very MSI meta, but even better.
Sure.
You've got Talia for a flex in 4 bloody rolls with Swain as well. Those two champions are just everywhere right now, and they are gross.
Okay, so we're going to see Talia picked a lot solely because it's just that 4-way flex. Now, I'm seeing Twitch there. I think LCO did it first in Split 1 playoffs. We saw it slide in a few times. Yeah. It became a bit of a joke here, but it worked almost every single time. And now it's patch 2.
Yeah. I mean, Lulu obviously is going to be like one of those go-to champions, right? I feel like Renata's maybe coming in as the second one to try and buff and enable those champions a bit, those true scaling DPS major threats. But my biggest fan favorite for me has to be the Twitch and the Yuumi, because they're both double invisible. They pop out. You can absolutely like flame your Yuumi player when he chucks at the projecting prowling projectile. Get that one around the wrong way. Far out. Far out. I hear the word Yuumi, and
I feel you.
My brain breaks as I'm sitting next to like the Yuumi haters.
I have an aura. I have a debuff
It's like a microwave. I'm just turning into mush in a second. But yes, Twitch and Yuumi, ever so oppressive, they pop out. They suddenly roam from bot lane to top lane. You're just getting ganked by 3 people at once. You think,
Mac?
He's just making himself tongue twisters.
Yeah. Maybe because Twitch's build is tank now.
Yeah.
Kratos won't get caught in mid-wave and he won't die.
Ooh.
He'll get caught, but he won't die.
He won't die. Yeah, he won't die.
All right. Well, we'll see how that statement progresses as the season progresses as well. But look, before we jump on into the action, before we start talking about the teams, we've got to talk about you guys at home. It's from the fans again. And we want to know, what players are you going to be supporting this split? We've got a fair few fresh faces. We got some old fan favorites. You got, the Mighty Bulldog there, of course. He's going to be making that resurgence for Direwolves. And I can't wait to see his pretty face again. I was looking at those GIFs that were up on Twitter, and I was just loving them.
You know what got me the most is when, like, I think I saw one of your Twitter posts, like you were dapping yourself up, and then you replied back with him dapping you back. And I'm thinking, my man's just having a conversation with himself on Twitter, and I'm all for it. I love it.
Oh, it's beautiful. I was having fun with that today. Now, let's see what you guys sent in from the fans. Let's see who are your players to watch. So, a lexicon coming through with the who is Razos. In math, my solution. In history, my king. In art, my canvas. In science, my oxygen. In geography, my world. In LCO Split 2, my champion. A couple of trophy emojis there. So are we happy with that? Happy with Lexicon's take?
I think that's a copy pasta.
I'd assume it would be.
But it is very cute with added emojis. So I can only pay that for being very good.
Okay. Well, let's have a look at who else the community thinks are the players to watch. Oh, my boy! Bulldog is here. Lisa, eat them up, ka. You reckon? Is that a good statement?
You need Skimmy to read these out loud.
Eat them up,
Oh, sorry. Look, I'll work on that. Day one.
Get them in real quick. Hey, Laura's probably in production thinking, far out. What have we unleashed?
That's what I'm saying.
Well, let's have a look at the third submission that we have here. Now, Kitty, you read this one out.
Have you heard about our Lord and Savior at Raze OCE? Have you heard about our Lord and Savior, Mac?
I have, actually. I've seen a few videos. I've seen him. He's pretty good in the bot lane, isn't he, Rusty?
In math, he is my solution.
Yeah.
In science, he is my oxygen.
Yeah, just run through it all.
No Scientology.
Bars.
In LCO Split 2, he is my champion.
Our champion.
Oh, did I just leak the script? Sorry, guys. That was too early. Too early for that. Now, look, that's it for From the Fans. Make sure you get your submissions in because we can throw those in between all the games today. Now, it's time to start talking about this matchup. The first game for Split 2. That's going to be Gravitas up against Order. But let's talk about Gravitas first because they have at least one player to watch there. But there is 5 players, filling out the roster. You got Tyran there. Up in the top lane again, so bringing it back for Split 2. Now, Skimmy, tell me, What are they going to be able to do here? And is DaJeung going to 1v9 again?
Well, he was the one that we looked out for, right? We sung his praises a fair bit. He got the second most solo kills in the entire league behind Tapoom, which is always going to be a very strong ask to try and outbeat. But yeah, he came in, most improved player. We said that we really liked his enthusiasm in the role. We had the pocket pick on the Zoe, which was actually getting banned away from him as well. And he certainly was that, that starlight in the team when they were looking to try and shuffle around the roster. I mean, 21 games played in Split 1. He was the only person in that entire roster that never got substituted, right? So you look at this one, nobody came in, is a top laner, was substituting as a jungler. They had 3 different junglers actually in their role. So certainly if you're looking at a mid-jungle partnership, it's made life a little bit difficult there for DaJeung. But Floppy's back, he had a bit of a break, played around in the OPL, he's back, so there is the man in the old suave poses. I'm keen to see these boys in action again.
Oh, smooth. Camera shots, look at them all, looking so handsome there. Now, Kitty, out of these 5, do you think it's just DaJeung that we're going to be, all eyes on him again, or are we expecting a little bit more from Gravitas going into Split 2?
I am definitely looking out for Floppy. He has played on the Gravitas roster before, but this is kind of like a secret. I used to be a huge fan of Floppy Sock when I was probably in Platinum, because he used to be a Nami main, and I watched his games to learn Nami. So with Nami being meta with Lucian, I'm definitely looking at him.
Piglet plays Lucian, by the way, very well. Just throwing that one out.
Okay, just maybe an expectation for those champs to pick nice and early. Little predictions coming through. But let's talk about Order, of course. They are the returning champions from Split 1 here in the LCO. But there is that slight change up. Kevy, he's gone. We got Goodo here instead, Rusty.
Yeah, so this is really interesting for Order. I personally, so Kevy's a fantastic jungler. He's now over with Juves, I believe, in CLG Academy, kicking it in North America. What Goodo provides to this roster for me is flexibility. So what I think Kevy provided was a stable, full clear jungler that would go for hard carry late game. Goodo's much more flexible in how he plays. He doesn't necessarily do that. He'll spend 6 minutes sitting in a lane ganking for one person because that's his win condition. I think that is a hallmark difference between them. So looking at this order for this split, I'm looking at flexibility across the board. Everyone will get a chance to be a carry. And so don't expect the best order from day one, even though they just came back from MSI, because they have so much discovering to do that they haven't had to do before.
Okay, so it's going to be a bit of an exploratory split, at least for the initial phases, and we'll see where it all ends up. What about you, Kitty? Who is going to be your players to watch on this lineup?
My player to watch is definitely Puma for Order, because I actually think he had the most stable performance at MSI, where he was going even up against those international talents. And I'm just more excited because it is an ADC meta, where ADC isn't just a poop hole because you're just useless until 40 minutes. I'm so sorry. It's first day and I failed. Take it away, Matt.
Yes.
Take it away.
Yes. All right. So poop counter, put that at 1. We'll see when that gets to by the end of the split. But we have a few more things we can talk about. Now, DaJeung, so he did a whole lot of carrying in that first split. Are we expecting that to be a recurring theme for Gravitas going into Split 2?
DaJeung is definitely, well, I keep saying definitely, he is the star player of Gravitas, because I think he's expanded his champion pool quite a lot since day 1, where it is also a mage-heavy meta in patch 12.10. With Azir being, I don't think DaJeung plays a lot of Azir, but he does play Azir. I will be waiting for that Azir game as we go into this split, but what do you think, Rusty?
I mean, from memory, he had a pretty diverse champion pool once the Zoe was banned, so there's a possibility he'll play a bunch of different champions for sure, and should be very fast to attach to this meta. I also think that, like, while he should be the high carry for the team, we do have to look at the bottom lane. Because I feel like I haven't seen Floppy or Piglet perform for very much time at all. They kind of disappeared as well towards the end, on and off players. So to see them starting, to me, is a big plus and upside for those two. Where I'm honestly expecting like a Lulu Cogmore game 1 straight out of the gates from those two, and they should be the carries.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to jump on into the first interview for Split 2. Kitty, who do we have?
We have the man, the myth, the guy we just talking about, DaJeung, for our first interview of Split 2. So DaJeung, welcome back. It's been a hot minute since we've catched up. So what have you been doing to keep yourself busy during this off-season of LCO?
Well, hello to everyone again. It's so fun to be back. Obviously, new patch, big changes, just trying to learn every single champion. I don't think I've played a lot of this year, but if Kitty says I can play it, then I guess I can.
You can do it.
But yeah, But yeah, had a lot of fun at Media Day, just meeting the whole production cast. I think it was super fun, and yeah, just having a great time. Keen to be back.
Very good, very good. Now talk to me. Tell me, what are Gravitas' goals going into Split 2? What are you aiming for? Do you think you can make playoffs? Talk to me.
Of course, playoffs so easy, man. Like,
Okay.
nah, I'm joking. Obviously, we want to make playoffs. I think that's our goal for this split. I want to see how much we can do, and I think with especially new roster, it's got to be a bit of a struggle to like actually learn and be synergized well together. But I think we have a good chance to split.
And there are definitely a lot of OPs in this current patch. If you were to permaban a champion from your competitive games, which champion would it be?
Ooh, if I had to choose, I'd probably choose Lilia. That champion is
Ooh,
so
Lilia.
annoying. Like, she is just so giga OP, I think. Like, she just moves so fast. And I play mid, I have a lot of skill shots, and on Lilia, a lot of them aren't hitting, so feels bad for me.
Okay, now, not necessarily, you know, not what your favorite champ is, not that you're going to pick it today, but in this current iteration of the patch, what are you enjoying in mid?
I guess there's always a bit of a cheat answer, to be honest. Always enjoying Zoe. I have new champions. I guess not new per se, but I'm enjoying a lot of like the new control mage styles, like the Ornn, TF, that kind of style. I think. So no, it's like fun to like slow the game down, just focus on CSing and just getting very fed off 10 CS a minute.
Very good.
Well, thank you, DaJeung. Oh, we just did like a Spider-Man like pointing at each other. Well, thank you for the interview, DaJeung. I'm gonna let you go and have you prepare for your game.
All right, thank you. See you guys.
Yeah, mate.
See you later. So back on track, the old these ones, you know, beautiful, perfect timing for that. Good to hear from DaJeung though. And look, moving forward, we do have to talk about the Dare fan vote. So you guys in Twitch chat, get your predictions in, get those channel points cranking, because you know who's going to win this one. Or do you? That's the question. Like, which way is this one going to go? I feel like there's a heavy favorite in this matchup, at least on paper. Everyone agree?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Without a doubt, Gravitas win. What?
What?
He's got Gravitas
Do you know
Glory
something
MP3
we
in his
don't?
headset.
Are you playing with Twitch chat?
I do actually probably know things that you don't. Do you want to know it?
Points going. Tell me.
Order have been on holidays.
Oh.
They got back like the 19th.
But they're coming in fresh.
Haven't
They're
been,
coming in well
haven't
rested.
been playing much.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, we'll see if that is a factor. But for now, it is time to bring up the prediction. So let's have a look at what we think is going to be going on here. We got order picked all across the board for all four of us. So, Rusty,
yeah, no, there's no shot I predict Gravitas.
Were you
to
pulling
win,
my
man.
leg?
No, what I said was true, but there's no shot I predict Gravitas over order. I think
It's too early, isn't it? Right? Like by the end of the season, we all start like trying to one up each other and trying to get the the highest analyst predictions. But at this stage, I think everyone's just going for the favorites.
Yeah. Did you turn the lights out?
Look, I see the grey screen in front of me.
Hang on.
And,
Did we get Nocturne altered?
No, okay, it's not a clapper. But look, we are getting that little bit closer to the game. Kitty, why do you think Order's going to be taking this one?
Well, if I'm looking at the two teams that we have right here, Order with Goodo coming onto the team, they're gonna need some time to get used to playing with a utility jungler compared to Kevy, where he was the carry of the team. And Gravitas, maybe because it's the start of the split, all teams are still figuring out what their identity is. They might be able to grab a sneaky win.
Okay, Rusty, what champ combinations would you like to see going into this match? Do you think that there's anything special any of these players play that you're aware of, or anything that you just personally would like to see just to test the meta in this patch?
I mean, I'm a fan of
beautiful.
I'm not a big fan of slow and boring scaling. So what I would like to see is still some aggression in a composition, right? If you're going to play Lulacog bottom, that should still be winning at level 1. So what I want to see is not just like teams locking in Lulu and Kog'Maw. It's teams saying we know windows where we're stronger, which Lulacog level 1 I think beats almost everything, and just going crazy with it to try and get leads.
Okay, so early aggression.
Let's not be boring for no reason. Just because we outscale, let's not be boring.
Okay. So early fights. Skimmy, you ready for that? Or
I'm keen. I'm just scared that it might be taken to the extreme where it becomes a bit of a scrim meta and people lose at 15 minutes and want to try and go, restart the scrim block, but they don't realize it's an LCO game. So
what was the fastest game coming into last one?
1658.
Was really
Was
quick.
it Mammoth Chiefs?
It
1658.
was about that. There was a lot of.
It was
like,
Pensnet was before them, right? Pensnet was like 17 something, and then Chiefs just came out and said like, "I'm gonna take that."
Okay. Do you think that the average time of these matches, this split, is going to be a little bit faster, or do you think it's going to be a little bit slower?
The average was like 30
minutes, right?
30, 31
real
minutes.
high.
Yeah.
Definitely
Maybe a couple of
slower, yeah.
extra minutes added.
Yeah. Should be like a 34-minute average probably.
Yeah, 32, 34.
Because of, you know, the brawling, the longer fights.
Well, the game's designed to end at a certain point, right? Like, Elders are meant to be game-ending strength, so it should theoretically still be ending around then. It's just it's going to be a slower early game into, like, one team fight to decide it all, opposed to, like, a bunch of skirmishes type of vibe.
So, you know, longer games. Are your throats ready? Are you ready?
No.
Vocal
I'm
cords.
keen. I'm keen.
40-minute game.
I'm just vibing out here, man, because I'm realizing that, you know, we're usually here for a final, but it's not a final. So I've got to realize that I can't go in guns blazing, lose my voice, because we've got to do this all again tomorrow. So I'm going to have to take it a little bit chill. But still obviously get excited. We've got to get excited.
We'll see how that goes because, look, Rusty, at least worst case for you, if you do need to, you know, sit a game out, we do have Kitty right here now.
We can do
Oh,
it.
I am right here. I'm on standby. Just chuck me on the couch.
We can do it.
I'm glad
I'll
you just
change
realized
slots.
that one as well.
Yeah, I exist.
Yeah, you exist. Now, Rusty, one more thing.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
What am I doing?
What are you doing? You getting throat? You doing those warm-ups?
Yeah? Or,
Wait.
are you asking about my warm-up?
No.
Or
I
is
just wanted
there-
to know if you're warm because I just heard Champ Select is ready. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for game 1 for Split 2.
That's an interesting segue. Better than anything we've done at home where I've said, thanks, Mac, and that's pretty much been a copy and paste every single time. Yes. Here we are on the casting couch, doing Gravitas up against Order. How fun will this be? The Zoe is being looked at, and it is being locked in. A first pick for DaJeung. Who would have seen it coming?
You know, I forgot how loud Skimmy is until he's next to you and I don't have a headset on. That's soundproof.
Yes.
So this will be a fun split. We have to look at the bans that have been seen first, and forgive me if I miss anything, because that is quite far away. Wukong, Gwen, Lulu, so 3 just very strong champions, I think it's fair to say, being banned on the blue side here by Gravitas. Red side for Order, Karma, Senna, and Talia, I would say equally as strong. Karma, if you remember, Order were 3-way flexing.
Yeah.
But I think right now, with Lulu gone, Karma could be the respect follow-up ban, as those two tend to be like a handshake, if that makes sense for draft meta. And I'm not going to say we should be surprised that DaJeung gets his champion in Zoe, but it leaves open a very easy response.
But it's so risky, isn't it? I mean, for sure, you want to guarantee yourself some form of comfort and say, this is my champion. Let's make sure the rest of my team can get their comfort picks and get some form of counter pick, but certainly opening yourselves up to a very strong mid laner in Kisee, who's not afraid to try and take those trades and look to try and be aggressive with you. We must mention, obviously, though, that as much as we say that Goodo and Kevy are very different players, Goodo is a Korean jungler. He is part of a trifecta of Korean junglers that are insane at Lee Sin. So if he wants to carry, he certainly can. Now, quickly caveating that, you look at Gravitas, what was nobody's most played jungler when he played this as an
I think he
autofill?
only played one.
It was every time on this Trundle, so that's back once again with a vengeance here.
He did look exceptional when he played the Trundle, I will say that much as well for him. So no surprises, I think, for Gravitas here, which is funny because we spent so much time talking about patch 12.10, what it means. And in reality, what we're seeing right now is just the tried, tested, and true champions from Split 1 all over again. And also the choice of the Ezreal here from Piglet. I do think that Ezreal is really good presently. Has a lot of freedom to poke. Ezreal Zoe obviously is a composition, right? Can do mid to long range bombardment and work nicely with the Trundle already. The question is what goes with this, because the Lulu's gone, the Karma's gone. Will we have an enchanter that just kind of sits back? Because normally you would have something like a Nautilus, right? Or something that can peel but still engage. And that's kind of where the flexibility of your comp goes. If you're winning, you now have at least got that avenue of entry into a fight. But we'll see what they choose to do. Again, durability patch, very curious.
Yeah, obviously, as you say, you got comfort from one split and also just from history, as it says. But what has the scrim meta really been showcasing for these players, right? New patch, new setup of what really is the ideal way now to try and play this game. And as we are seeing a big focus towards this bot lane, there is another champion denied away in that Jhin as well. Deny a little bit of extra range in terms of this engage setup that Order might be looking to try and chuck at you. A fair bit of mobility between the Zoe and the Ezreal, obviously. But I guess going back to your talking point here for Floppy, what would he be looking to try and pick up? If it wasn't to beat in China, would he go for something like a Nautilus, like a Leon, and just say, let's just roam and let's just, you know, collapse from every angle to try and get this first pick Zoe ahead?
I feel like if I was Floppy, I would be picking Bard. So I don't know exactly where he's going to go at this point, right? You could have like a flexible Thresh. I don't think I've seen Thresh since the changes.
Sure.
I mean, really, it could just be like a Soraka angle. Soraka has a pretty strong place against Lee Sin LeBlanc if they try and dash onto you, right? You silence them, they're locked there.
Yep.
But then again, could be volatile in the lane itself, especially if your opponent's order, it feels like, are not changing up their strategy at all here between patches, or between splits, really. They're going to be hyper-aggressive bottom with that Kalista, and presumably an aggressive champion.
And I'm loving this, right? It's a return for the Kalista, right? I think it is, many would say, the most dominant bot lane, or at least lane AD carry, right? Just from the amount of trading you can do. Sometimes can fall off, though, in the mid to late game, because you've got such a short range and a very predictable pattern of how you're going to attack. But certainly, my favorite variation has always been the Kalista and the Tarek. You go in, you get the stuns, there's time, and pretty much it's a case of Gravitas, if you can't kill before this Cosmic Radiance goes off, you're going to have a really bad time.
And so the Ornn is going to be locked in here for the side of Gravitas with that composition now. The Kalista obviously being short range, like you said, there's a lot of threat that they're able to get snowballed on if they fall behind. Ezreal with those slow fields, Zoe with the mid to long range pick as well. Ornn's going to couple that in even further. Now I'm just going to go for the Nautilus. I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy just yet. But with that Naut in mind, Order probably looking for a melee champion that can be fairly aggressive. You have things like Renata, right, that do exist that are pickable, especially into champions like Nautilus. But Kalista Braum does feel like it can work. It can be aggressive. It could be an Alistar, right? It could be something that goes super hard and super forwards here. Especially for a support red side 5th pick, it doesn't feel like Braum is one of those champions that has the craziest amount of impact to round out a comp. It simply exists. Can stop Zoe bubbles, which I think is the main purpose, and doubles up as Ornn's ultimate being countered with the door. So it does feel like Braum wasn't picked necessarily for their comp, it was picked more to deny things from their opponents, which makes sense.
Yeah, definitely a lot of skill shots that door can deny. Obviously got a nice little small buff, did old mate Braum in the bot lane there to try and make himself a little bit more attractive for these teams to lock in and play. But overall, I suppose, we certainly got ourselves a fairly aggressive bot lane on either end, right, in terms of looking to try and juke and jive and get themselves steamrolling ahead. Kitty already mentioned that she felt like Puma was the most stable one at MSI. We certainly sung his praises, and there was that big conversation, right, all across Split 1 as to who were the top AD carries, and I think Puma certainly wrangled his way into the mix of being a top 3. Whether that position is a first or second outright, we're not too sure, but a champion like this, you want to win early, you want to dominate early, and then snowball into a position where you say, we are Order, we've just been to MSI, this is why we're better than you.
100%, just put the foot down early and keep the gas going, right, 100%. And accelerate the game out of control away from the side of Gravitas. Now, their composition does scale pretty well themselves. I think for BioPanther and for the rest of Order, getting ahead early, I think, is the entire composition's goal, right? Leblanc Lee Sin there skirmishing, Kalista Braum definitely still going to be aggressive in the 2v2.
Yeah.
BioPanther and Tyran have decided that there's going to be a tank off in top lane. Now, if anyone wants that handshake, it is BioPanther. I don't think anyone on planet Earth really wants this matchup to be a comfortable trade unless you're Impact or someone at MSI. Otherwise, well, let's just say locally. Let's just say locally. He excels in the tank v tank.
Yeah, but Sion, or rather BioPanther, pretty much encompasses those tanks, doesn't he? He'll play them as a carry. If he gets bored of them, he will bust out the likes of a Gwen or a Trundle and showcase that you can do a little bit of everything, but certainly could be a lane that might be a little bit quiet, one that we might not pay too much attention to for the very first few moments, but a try and true tested combo is going to be that LeBlanc and Lee Sin. We've seen it time and time again, lots of engage, lots of kill threat, and I suppose a good way for Kisee and Goodo to try and develop some very early synergy here.
Yeah, 100%. And like you mentioned earlier, right, Korean Lee Sin, Goodo has been exceptional on the pick, and yeah, their duo is going to be really pivotal for how this game goes, Skimmy. But we are in-game, first game, split 2 of the LCO.
We certainly are, and if you've just checked your clock and realized, hang on a minute, we are already halfway through the calendar year of 2022. Well, don't blink because we're into split 2 as well. Gravitas on the left-hand side up against Order, looking all new and ever so fresh and ready to showcase what they can do here today. We'll get things under wrap, and I believe we have a coach interview ready on standby. So if we can cue that one up and ready to go, then we can jump into the fold of things and get a few talking points, I suppose, some words of wisdom from the side of Gravitas. Mystic, how are you, mate?
How you going, lads? Pleasure to be back.
Pleasure to be back as well, mate. It feels good to be in a studio as well to make it feel ever so much more proper. But I have to ask, I mean, long off season, what's new for you boys? How did you spend that time?
I spent that time doing a lot of work. Honestly, we only took really about a week off. Ran some in-house trials just to see what direction we wanted to go for split 2, and then and so yeah, just been making a lot of progress. getting stuff done where we can, and watch some MSI games as well, as I'm sure you all did. But yeah, man, just trying to keep this train moving along.
That's the way. I mean, we do see a new face here in Floppy in that bot lane. We saw a lot of changes in your roster across the entirety of Split 1 with a lot of players on your roster, might I add. So are we feeling like this is the go-to roster now to start off Split 2?
Bit of some, what do I want to call it, housekeeping issues, but starting next week, you'll see what you're going to see the entire split pretty much. So.
Yeah. Beauty. Well, I'm excited to see what that looks like. Obviously, you got Lenny on the bandwagon as well, so keen to see what they'll look like in that jungle position. But until then, I wish you and the boys the rest of this split the best luck.
I greatly appreciate it.
Well, Rusty, we're back in the studio. That does mean that the Casticos has to happen. I was watching it. I was wincing as I was doing the interview there. And I mean, what better start for a Kalista bot lane?
Yeah, listen, it wouldn't be the LCO without a coach interview where a kill takes place early. Kalista Braum, as you have obviously now noted, very good at level 1. Braum as a champion is often seen, especially in a competitive landscape, as I'm going to invade you at level 1.
Sure.
Right? He is just so good because of his passive. Hits the Q as well as the auto attack, and I feel like there's a world here that Piglet actually dies, but they stutter step a little bit. Floppy's the one who ends up getting stunned, Ignite goes down. Puma also exhausts the cleanse to keep close, right, to keep the autos going. And again, Braum passive. Corporal has basically stunned Piglet during the time that Puma was taking down at Floppy. So very easy first kills across the board here from Order, and exactly the way they want to start their campaign.
Certainly do. We talked about it being a very lane-dominant champion, and that's definitely the way you want things to go, as that is the flash chomp, but that's the paddle start. I guess the kill confirmed there is DaJeung locking in that Zoe first pick, is rewarded with his first kill.
Yeah, really well played there by DaJeung with nobody, right? The flash forwards was just to make sure that they definitely had lethal. Ignite was also used by the Zoe with the auto attacks, so maximized as much damage as he could possibly put down. Kisee ends up going and is going to teleport back towards mid lane, so all things considered, we'll be able to catch all of the minions, but a nice little first kill there for DaJeung.
It almost feels like a broken record, right? Whenever we've seen nobody play this Trundle, he has tended to gravitate, pardon the pun, towards that mid lane, camping DaJeung, making sure he gets ahead. It's happened again. Once upon a time, you'd say you've learnt your lesson, but the script really is continuing to repeat. So I'm excited to see how that one does play out as this game does go on. As Goodo's going to pop his head into mid lane now. Look to try and assert some control by putting in a control wall. Kisee going to go in with the chains. We're going to try and get that root off. There it is! And there's the Sonic Wave! And you can go to sleep, but you're going to wake up, and that wasn't a nightmare. That was the dream.
Yeah, nice little return fire there by Order, right? So they're able to get one back. DaJeung still had the flash, but once the chains are on, you know, once the combo starts to come through from a Leblanc and a Lee Sin, it doesn't miss. Nobody trying to keep the wave out of the turret. Now, that cannon, is that in range? Yeah, it is now. Not going to be completely held off there by nobody, but it does mean the cannon will get missed. Eyes on Kisee here, see how aggressive he plays this, because he probably should just be backing away.
Yeah, I'm wondering if he's going to poke his head in there for a second towards those Raptors, but he knows better. Back to base he goes. Got a fair bit of gold, no doubt. Looking to try and utilize that. Make mid lane fairly favorable for them. We look at bot lane though, Rusty. I mean, this has just really gone from bad to worse.
Yeah, it's ruthless right now. I mean, that's not going to slow down the way that level 1 went. The fact that summoner spells were also used across the board. Kalista loves protracted trades, loves to be aggressive, and loves to be constantly hitting you. The longer a fight goes, the better off the Kalista will be because of the Ren damage that starts to stack up. Ezreal is a very low damage champion unless he hits all of his skill shots early. And because he started at a deficit, you know, misses experience, he's going to be missing out on some damage there as well. Note that it is press the attack Ezreal. We've seen a lot of transitions here from most Ezreal players, where I believe it was just the first strike. I almost said kleptomancy.
Yeah, well, once upon a time.
Yeah, first strike has now transitioned into Conqueror or press the attack, depending on how they want to play. PTA, much more base damage for lane trades. Already undone.
Certainly won't be short of those options, though, to try and expose some vulnerabilities in the armor of Order. Also, nobody's gone for the PTA rune choice as well. But whilst Ezreal traditionally can look to try and item spike fairly quickly with the likes of a tier into a Manamune and go from there, certainly Puma's going to be saying, well, that's all well and good, but I've got myself a very sizable lead. As does Goodo, found himself that kill in the mid lane, assisting Kisee. Now picked with the first dragon as well. And Piglet, well, he ran the numbers. He's just survived.
It was one little spear off being murdered there by Puma, but nevertheless, will be able to survive. They're looking for the potential dive.
Oh, that's a good hook, but an even better door there from Corporal, who's going to cop himself one turret shot. Going to get jumped upon. The Ignite goes out nice nearly there. As Puma's now looking to try and get the moves like Jagger, looking to try and run away. Sidestep this, sidestep that. How many range stacks does he have? Oh, he's just claimed the soul of nobody. Claim to make it. Who cares about the exhaust? Because every time you exhaust me, I just cleanse it for free.
Corporal's flash there at the very back end of the fight was fantastic. Also means that DaJeung not going to be able to cover enough distance. There's a minion wave blocking the paddle star if that were to come through. And so it just means cleanly here by order. I mean, you could call that a 2v4 as far as we're concerned, right? The fact that Zoe gets there towards the very end. They get out cleanly with 2 kills. That is a 4-0 Kalista.
I've seen this happen before. And when Kalista gets this fed very early on, I start to wince when mid-game comes around. You talk about champions that can look to try and make dragons and barons and heralds that much easier. Well, certainly the rain stack, not only on these champions, but can certainly help on that one. So let's run it back with this replay once again, because it starts with what you think is a pick onto Corporal in return. Yeah, I'm surprised that Corporal actually got turret aggro during that trade as well. No, the Trundle pillar was actually really nicely done by nobody, but everything was used. Trundle couldn't get the Q off, and once the Chomp couldn't connect, Puma was free to hit. And a Kalista that isn't slowed is usually a Kalista that's going to be out trading you. So very nicely kited. Showing mastery of the champions, of course, is Corporal and Puma. To no one's surprise, to say the least, but Gravitas left reeling. 7-minute Rage Blade, how do you do? That's looking quite nice, as he's not even going to rush those tier 2 beats. Doesn't even care about his passive to try and jump around and make life easy for him, because he just wants raw stats. I mean, who needs to dash and dodge? Well, you can just hit them for free.
Well, Kalista does, but Kalista's one of the few champions where boots are like the most common first purchase, because the movement speed, just as much as the attack speed, is really valuable for her. And I mean, when you're this fed, who cares,
doesn't care, does he?
Who
cares? There we go. Bit of red reprieve here in the top lane as Tyran's going to get copped upon. The Colossal Smash is going to get interrupted as he looks to try and hit the call of the Forge God, but ultimately Goodo rocks up. Right place at the right time.
And I guess a quick PSA for everyone out there when I said that there was a chance that Gravitas may be able to upset Order, who haven't been practicing too much when they came back from MSI. Just because they have less practice doesn't mean they're not ready. This is very clearly an Order that wants to win straight up. They've put their best foot forwards from level 1 onwards. Top lane now getting involved in the mix. The only place that they've suffered was mid lane, where a good Zoe bubble is all it takes sometimes, especially when Zoe runs Ignite. But the trade back was almost immediate.
Certainly was. That good invade there from nobody to try and make sure that this Zoe got ahead nice and early. Was retaliated back quite quickly. And I think I'm sure as this split does go on, right, I mean, the fact that Order went over there, went 0-8, got certainly bullied by the best in the world, but showed certainly in game 1, right, when they kept G2 very close until that Baron flip, you're thinking, okay, well, whenever these teams do go overseas, certainly there is going to be some love to be found, not only from these scrims, but obviously up against, you know, some of these solo queue players too. How much of a buff is that? Well, how much can really be derived, especially when you bring a new player in a core position like jungle? Well, certainly as far as game 1's going, he's settled in quite nicely.
Nobody actually having a crack at bottom lane here, but Corporal was hiding out of vision. So the second that the Trundle and the Braum locked eyes, he backed away. Turns out it was just time wasted from the jungler there. Meanwhile, Order getting back to work, trying to take these camps down. And red buff not going to steal the blue this time around. So far, so good. I'd say it hasn't been a hard game for Goodo to integrate to the team, just the way that this one has played out at all. But so far, no issues to really speak of. Just happily playing into this one. I guess the big point, Skimmy, is we said they are very reliant on having some kind of early advantage. Some kind is in the form of almost everywhere.
It certainly is to be the case. 10 minutes in, up by 3k gold exactly. It's quite nice to talk about as both the mid laners look to try and trade blows. Here comes nobody, but Goodo's not too far away. Was veering back towards that bot lane as the Dragon's not too far away, 40 seconds and counting. Very defensive warding, might I add, here from Gravitas right now, as they are just terrified as to where Goodo could be from mid to bot. He's now bot now. Gonna summon that Herald, and well, 2 plates would be the one shot, but they just want as much gold as they can.
I don't know if they saw the Nautilus in transition from base towards mid. Nobody now going to come down here as well. I think if that Braum Q connected, there was a chance they took the fight.
Yeah.
Puma just going to settle for the turret. I think in reality, what happened here, Skimmy, is that they were looking for a play mid. Tyran. Oh, that was...
It's a cacophony of skill shots missed and mistakes to be made, but ultimately we're going to pan away from that one back to bot lane where...
Tanks, am I right? I mean, it just doesn't matter. They're just using abilities. Have a little fun every now and then if you're a tank. BioPanther obviously controlling top lane really nicely. If he has Demolish, It's going to be a lot of that turret health gone as well, just say. Yeah, it's going to be a couple of plates there taken nicely for the Sion. So Top's winning of his own accord. Puma has finally decided to get some boots. There are some brown bags, but why not get a full Runans with it? Easy as you like after a full turret goes down.
I mean, it really is, isn't
11 minutes is a good time for one item. Like, you're pretty happy as a gamer. You got one full mythic. You're like, yes, that's pretty good, 11 minutes.
Yeah, when we've seen mythic items picked up that early, you're thinking that's pretty sweet. But I suppose a champion, much like a Kog'Maw, right, where the mythic seems a little bit overrated early on, we can look to try and go for these items first instead. And yeah, let's check in with that total gold. Hang on a minute. Yes, he is fairly fed, if we are reading that one correctly. So the sweet tears of Ezreal are certainly going across the battlefield here. Is once again Tyran caught in a spot of bother, even more so now because he has to deal with a 4-0 Kalista.
Yeah, Tyran perhaps not respecting the potential map flip there from the side of Order. Nevertheless, will just be perfectly fine, but he had no flash from the prior fight, so needs to be super respectful. Gravitas also just going to let most of this minion wave crash and die. DaJeung not willing to sacrifice his positioning advantage, but he's going to be forced out anyway.
Yeah, he wants to go for this blue buff. He wants to try and take it. It's not going to be picked up by him. Goodo's got that one as they go to sleep. Out comes the True Shot barrage, but the door goes out and denies the bulk of that damage. And now Order really are asserting their control of this map. The jungle presence is certainly to be felt now.
And now they are going to press the attack forwards, looking for nobody.
Looking for nobody, looking to try and stack up that concussive blows. And, well, he was stunned and he's dead now. And now the dive is certainly looking to be on as that wave is to be crashed. It's already been decimated, but another wave is coming on through. But they are literally just going from top to mid and saying, wherever you rotate, we'll just pick you apart. DaJeung looking to try and flash away. Gonna get kicked to the head as Goodo walks by. But hang on a minute. Dragon's Rage into the kick to follow things up. And actually donate a kill across to Floppy, who says, oh, we'll take that one for one. Supports can do wonders. As the exhaust on the Kisee was enough to deter much more.
If there's anything that I can take away from that trade for Gravitas, it's that Floppy's hook was exceptional. Other than that, they are just being completely smacked. Order just no slowing down, no signs of slowing down by any means. And really the MVP of that entire series of plays for me was Goodo, because he went through a series of skirmishes without wasting the ultimate. Didn't use it for lethal on the Zoe, right? Had the ward hop, had the ability to follow through, use the Gore Drinker or the Iron Spike whip at the time if it was to find that one. Then had the flash kick, right, to keep the play going. So recognizing the windows that existed and maximizing what he can do for the play was very well done by the jungler of Order. The rest of the team just... I mean, we're at a point, we're 14 minutes in, I feel like they're just beating them with the wallet already.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I mean, I'm just looking at Puma rattling down the final turret plates in that top lane. I believe he's probably picked up like 8 as a collection now, which is just unfathomable. Given the CS lead, you can see at the bottom of your screen as well. Might be at 3 items before Piglet completes 1. Yeah. It's possible.
This is quite a large Kalista. I think there was even a point in that last skirmish where he just left the kill to Kisee. I was like, you can have it. Like, I don't,
it's a freebie.
I don't need it.
Well, here comes Goodo up against the lonely Ezreal. Looking to try and shield himself behind that minion. The minion falls on down. There's the Sonic Wave. There's the kick. Where are you going? Fog of War doesn't exist because I've got a wall there. You might have a team to back you up. Here comes Corporal across the wall. Looking to jump in and back you up. There's a bit of mitigation. There's a knock-up. Glacier Fissure. How do you do? Get chomped and nobody takes him down. Jungle Affair going 1 and 2. But now Corporal's also going to feel the burden of it because nobody is a hungry man. The troll is certainly empowered. He's got those stats. He's going to look to run away. And Tyran, nobody saw that.
I think he saw the Kalista on his screen and just pressed any button he could possibly do to get away. He's gone. Puma shows up. The raid boss is here, but they're going to immediately disengage. And so from one raid boss to another, Puma is going to slaughter the Rift Herald instead. Another free objective for them. I mean, nicely played by Gravitas to get a couple of kills on the back half of the skirmish, but I think it's fair to say that Order are just looking for any play possible at this point. They've recognized how far ahead they are, and they're just looking to not exactly put the foot down and keep going, but they're not going to slow the pace. They're comfortable just making these trades because they keep trading up.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I always notice, right, when OS goes overseas to these big international events is just how we handle ourselves in these early game situations, right? You see these international teams always finding like devastating leads by the 10-minute mark, and you're thinking, how is it this much of a gap, right? But then you see a situation like this, it's almost like they've come back and said, these are lessons from Korea. We're just going to win early, so then there is no condition for a late game scaling of an Ornn or even a Zoe to come into the fold of things.
Oftentimes as well, like historically speaking, when OS goes abroad, we tend to lose in the mid game. Right? Like, you often find that we have enough to get through an early game, right? Because it's kind of controlled, it's measured, and it's understood. The game's more locked down. You have more space to work with, right? Every turret is full health, every turret is dangerous. There's no objectives up, right, for your first 2 clears, or clear and a half, whatever it may be for junglers. We tend to go even, get a couple of picks here and there from that, but it's once you break out of that pattern into the unpredictability of a game where things start to falter for most of Oceanic teams abroad. Ornn didn't even realistically make that point. They often just had Kevy being hard invaded on. The Gravitas floundering as Ornn are the ones to press the mid-game attack. Stark contrast.
They certainly are. 17 minutes in, and we are ever so shy to a 10k gold lead in Ornn's favor. Second Herald summoned mid to take out the outer. 3 dragons now have just been picked up, secured there by Goodo, looking to try and play for a Infernal Soul in 4.5 minutes, which would feel like putting a bow on it.
Certainly would. A nice little ward placed by Ornn as well in the red side jungle. It didn't get swept out, so they have still got a potential bank of knowledge to work with on that side of the map. They're going to force the inner turret here. I don't think there's any stopping them. In fact, even looking for the chance to stop them is a little bit much here, and they ran the risk of being engaged on themselves.
Yeah, Tyran's bot lane, he doesn't have a TP, so he couldn't actually make that play. Clears out one wave, back to base he goes, looking to try and spend whatever form of cash he has, no doubt looking to try and work towards that Fimbulwinter, but very low in the stack so far, not going to be realized any time soon. Kisee also in base, and probably feeling, oh, go on then boys, have a crack at things, but ultimately they've just got so much map control, 4 turrets, uncontested.
Yeah, as it stands with Vision, actually, a couple of things that Gravitas have done all right is they've got a couple of deep wards that haven't been cleared. They have one, north of the blue side jungle in their own jungle that wasn't cleared by Ornn, so they had theoretically they had flanks if Ornn missed position or didn't have numbers in the right places. And it's just good information to see if they choose to disengage. But we're 18 minutes in. Ooh! That's too far, way too far.
Oh, he said it. We take those. But that's all he'll take at this stage, unfortunately.
That's all he can take, I think, at this stage.
Back lane farming it up. We're going to try and hit that next break point. He's sitting on the Loon so far, but will be craving, no doubt, a Shadow Flame or some form of extra damage to really hammer home and try and hit them with those one-shots, which have ever been so present as an annoying Zoe feature.
But I guess, ultimately, what does a Zoe do if she starts the game behind, right? It's one of the biggest falterings of a Zoe in general is once you fall behind, you tend to stay there. It is really a struggle to exist on the map when you could be a different control mage and be behind. Like a Victor, he's going to still be able to team fight, put down the Storm. Probably still one-hit someone, right? And can do that in an AoE. Zoe relying on hitting those bubbles, but you've got a Braum to counter you as well. So even with the Shadow Flame, you can't help but question what DaJeung will be able to do. And it doesn't sound like a hard carry for the team is going to be facilitated here.
But Braum's done certainly a lot of work, right? As much as we were critical of it being, a pick that you wouldn't commonly say, that's the pick you need on red side for a 5th and final pick. It's denied so much from what Gravitas have put together.
Oh, for sure. I mean, the pick itself, it's like we said, it isn't picked for its own composition as much. Like, Braum Kalista can work, right? It's more about denying everything that Gravitas have. If they start to try and force team fights, you can deny the Ornn ultimate. That's really their one way in besides the Nautilus. And a Nautilus who's behind is going to be very fragile, especially with the Glacial build.
Sure.
No Aftershock to keep him going. And so he just gets ripped apart. And that's really the way that the game plan is going to be from Ornn. It's bring them to you because they want to engage. Absolutely. And then just run them over.
When does desperation really strike here for Gravitas? Because 20 minutes in, Baron about to spawn, Dragon to try and play for, and just shy of 90 seconds as well. So you're thinking, what is our avenue back into this game? Will Auto entertain it? Or will they continue to invade, as you're seeing on your screen right now, and choke out the map so we have no vision, no idea of what to do and where to go? We might be featuring ourselves our very first OS ARAM as we group up all around that Baron. Right on the clock it spawns, True Shot Barrage, door goes up, and that cancels it. Now. He's gone drowsy now, he's going to jump away, the Baron's going to be disengaged away from, but damage goes onto Corporal, forced to burn Flash. Kisee across the Wardo, looking to try and hit those chains, no route to be found. And back to lane deployments we go.
I don't want to speak too critically of it because they are in a very losing situation, but I have no idea what Tyran was doing. I feel like he just missed 6 different opportunities to press a button and didn't do any of them. He just postured aggressively. Braum had no door. If ever there was a moment as an Ornn to use your ult, just to have a crack at it, that was the time, but he held it. He didn't use his E, right? He didn't try and slam when they were against the wall. Just kind of let them walk away. You're not going to get an opportunity like that to even try again if you're not really forcing the agenda. That was maybe the 1 in a million moment that Gravitas had this game to, even if it was a losing fight, have a go.
The killer instinct potentially lacking there in that situation, as they are down a significant margin in this game and need to literally pick at any form of scrap that they can. And if it won't be the Baron that they go for, then they've invested all their chips really now into this Infernal Soul Denial, because that is the biggest prize on the map currently.
Cool.
Oh no, Floppy's... Oh no. He's taking a hook when he really doesn't want it. He doesn't want to traverse the map that far away. Flash away as Goodo goes in for the Sonic kick. And he's not going to find it as the door goes down. He can't hit R2. That's a tragedy. The damage is there. Kisee is low. In goes BioPanther. He's looking to try and lock them all on down. It's just a cacophony of damage. Look at them two. I've been oh, look at the red. It's all across the screen right now. Order just rampaging apart. As they say, DaJeung, you are the sole survivor, but we want that perfect ace. But we won't find it today. He hits it with the EG flame. Yes, DaJeung.
If ever there was a time, he dodged 2 skill shots. No time like dodging a Goodo skill shot to show an EG icon. But hey, teamfight still goes the way of Order, and he'll get a small victory on the back of a losing teamfight. Baron going to be secured for them as well. I don't think there's going to be any contest here, unless this takes an extremely long time. What Gravitas do know is that Goodo is hitting the Drake right now. And that Corporal and BioPanther, they may not know this exactly, but you have to assume they're tanking this Baron to be fairly low. There's a world that Goodo's not even coming. He was recalling.
It's close. It's going to be close. How do they get out now? That is the question. Puma's going to try and fight himself out of this pit. He's flashed away from one. Nobody against the world. What can he do? The pillar goes down. Not going to be found. Ren stack one, looking for a double. I've seen Puma win these. He's going for Floppy. Winning. He gets a double kill. He will literally fight his way out of this Baron pit. He does not seem to matter. Tyran rocks up and says, where is my team? How have they died? I thought we were meant to be jumping upon you. There's a triple kill. And now Puma's 8-0.
And Piglet has no choice but to just farm mid, I suppose, here as well. Puma's just won the game. I mean, level 1, Puma and Corporal just 2v2'd them, right? It's just that simple. It's continued every single time Gravitas try and find the Kalista. Too good to be true every single time. They're always one step ahead. They're just too confident. I mean, look at the damage you can see in the last team fight. To be fair, the team fight was him kiting all of them. But he lives to tell the tale, and so he gets to show off that damage chart.
Unbelievable situation. Much like BioPanther just exploding and saying, you can't kill me, I am a tank. There's a double kill just as easy as that for Kisee off screen. Look at try and fight the KDA now of the star AD carry. He's 7-1. As they look to draw and force a 4-1 split. Top inhib is dead. The second in mid is soon to follow as they turn their attention on towards that one. And they are for sure locking Gravitas inside their base. There is nowhere to run or hide, no waves to prep, no turrets to really try and defend. One more Call of the Forge God goes out. It's a one-man knock-up. Tyran goes to cross, but he's got nothing to charge into. There's no collision. There is no knock-up, and there's no stun to be found. Puma gets exhausted. This time he doesn't have a cleanse. He's going to die to the turret, if nothing else. And that second turret is going to fall on down. True Shot Rush tries to have a crack at sniping Puma, but his KDA will not be ruined today. Gravitas are falling on down like flies. 24 kills to 6. 24 minutes into this one. And Puma start, or Order start, split 2 off with a bang.
A very one-sided affair here for Order to kick off the split. I mean, a confident showing, exactly what they wanted, right? You pick a Lee Sin LeBlanc, you want to have some aggressive early game skirmishes. You have a Kalista Braum, you've got a lot of kill threat level 1. They managed to do all of that, and then they just hit their stride and didn't look like slowing down whatsoever. Gravitas, it feels like they just never really had an in. They never had a moment. They never had an opportunity.
Yeah.
It felt like from just go to woe, it was outright losing from them, and there was no way back in.
It just felt curious to me that, you know, the Zoe got picked so early. The clear objective at the start was get DaJeung ahead and then just see what happens. That's what it really felt like ultimately, because you looked at bot lane, and as soon as you're losing to that Kalista lane, you're thinking, we're in trouble, boys, because this is meant to try and deal with things early. It's not happened. And then top lane, which is 2 beefcakes, are saying, have at it, who can get the most protein into their workout shake possible.
Ooh.
I think BioPanther came out on top.
Speaking my language there. Now look, that was interesting. I saw Puma get that first kill over towards the Baron. I saw him get that second kill, and I was just like, ooh, this is going south real quick for Gravitas. It looked good up until then, though, didn't it, Kitty?
What was it, 2v3 in the bot lane where they came out on top?
Yeah.
Order has just been on top of their game from the first game.
Absolutely crazy. Now, look, we got a few things to chat about, including how good that game was. I feel like Kalista, did you check those stats? You ran off to see if it was the first time?
I ran off to check up on the Kalista stats. This is currently the first Kalista we've ever seen in LCO's 2022.
Oh, really? Cool.
There you go. Apparently really broken. As you could see, Puma putting on an absolute performance with it. So are we expecting to see more? I think you mentioned in the green room that it is a broken pick right now.
I'd imagine Violet will be playing it for sure. That's like a staple pick of Violet, right?
Well, I've been told by a lot of pro ADC players that Kalista is quite strong with the current build. I think it was also Gwinsu's, Runa's, and was it a Bork that was third item?
It was Bork third, yeah.
Bork third item. We're probably going to see more of it because it's going to... I'm having a brain fart. Rusty, take it away.
I mean, yeah, the Kalista is one of the new It's like the Cogmore build, but for Kalista can work super effectively. Can also make melee supports more effective right now, where they do kind of get phased out a little bit.
You can save your enchanters, I guess.
Yeah, you can save enchanters, but like having that extra engage source makes a champion like Braum even, who gets picked for more like the diffusal, still have an engage source, right? So it just kind of it makes you much more flexible. I do think that Kalista's more of like a late draft option more often than not. You don't want to go like 1-2 Kalista because they can just pick things that make your life an absolute nightmare. Yeah. Like Tristana, Varus, even as lane opponents to just press one button, Ashe, and then you just don't exist and it's not fun ever. But I do think you'll see a lot of Kalista late draft, yeah.
I think so. It could be like a really good answer if teams are going to look to try and invest in their bot lane, saying this is the meta where the better bot lane will win. Well, if teams are looking to try and go for like Vayne and Cogmore blind and just hope, Kalista can certainly punish that as well, right? So I'm excited.
Look at those damage graphs as well. Puma leading the charge. Kisee not too far behind there at 17.9k damage dealt. And look, Gravitas, they had a crack. Unfortunately, the crack started to get a little bit bigger early on in the game. Order know exactly what to do to win. They've been overseas scrimming against some of the best teams in the world. So they're back. And they are showing what they're made of, kicking things off with a W. 24, 6, and 50. Anything you want to touch on in terms of those item builds? Anything funky? You know, you did mention, Kitty, that we did see those Swifties coming through on the Braum.
I was pretty surprised when I saw Braum build Swifties because usually the supports opt into Swifties because mobility is too expensive. I believe it's 700 gold when Swifties is 100 gold less. And usually when you build Swifties, you do want to make those roam or map plays across the game. We do have Corporal building Swifties this game into Trundle and Nautilus. Yeah. So maybe he's just building it for the slow. I'm not
I'll tell you
really
a trade secret about support players, Kitty, that aren't Yumi, is that if I go back to base and I have 600 gold,
I'm always getting Swifties.
I'm just buying Swifties because they're just
there.
The
best one. Yeah. I'm a Swiftie enthusiast as well. Yeah.
Well, look, I'm sure Order Swiftie will be happy to hear that too.
Talking about shoes. Huh? Piglet was so scared of Puma's Kalista, he built a ninja tabby. Can we get an F in the chat?
Oh, that's an F.
Ooh. How do you do the F? To the like the phase up? Is it that one?
This is an
no,
F?
The other way.
That's kind of close.
That way. It's like the phase up.
Oh,
F,
what is that? Oh,
phase,
I don't know.
What was it when we did the 100 and Kitty's like...
we can do that so much more often. That's going to be so much fun. Now, we do have Puma on the line to have a quick chat to as well. So let's bring him in. Puma, how are you feeling after that first dub of Split 2?
It feels good, obviously, to win, but it's like not the greatest opponent to have in your first game, but I'm still like happy that we played pretty well.
Okay, confidence builder.
Well, Puma looking handsome as always, coming back from MSI. Also a really handsome performance on that Kalista. What are your thoughts on the current ADC meta and the champions that are going to be picked this split?
I actually don't think Kalista is that good. I think she was just good this game, specifically into like Ezreal and Zoe, but I think like Twitch Cogmore are probably the best ones but they banned Lulu, so I think they were scared.
Okay. How is it feeling bringing Goodo into the team instead of Kevy? Is the dynamic, shifting a little bit? Is he still trying to sort of find his role in the team, or is Prac going really well with him?
Good is good. I think he needs a little bit more confidence in his own play, but he pretty much plays for lanes, and with Kevy we play for him. So like obviously the dynamic has changed, but I think we're still like getting used to him.
And Puma, we all know that you just came back from South Korea. What would you recommend to the friends and family that do want to visit South Korea on what activities they can possibly do over there? We
actually didn't go out that much.
What?
We I Actually, on our last day, we really lost and we went 0-4. We went to a bar and club, but that's about it.
Okay. Well, look, I thought Gomez might have, taken you out a little more, taken you to see the sights of South Korea. He is a bit of a worldy man. Now, look, now you're back here. Obviously, you're comfortable. You're back on the right. I feel like the time zone over in South Korea isn't like that different anyway.
A couple hours behind, isn't it?
Who do you feel like is the biggest competition for you guys this split? And do you guys see yourself being able to double up? Or is the competition just going to get a bit crazy now you don't have Kevy there?
I think the competition has gone up a little bit. I think Violet and Outdoor coming back. They're obviously really good players. So I don't know. I still haven't versed them yet because we versed them next week. And I versed Outdoor tomorrow, so we haven't scrimmed them. But I know that they're good, so I think it won't be as easy as split 1.
Okay, so confidence building game today and a test of form for tomorrow. Thank you, Puma, for joining us here on the panel. And look, good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Always good to have a quick chin wag with the players, and good to hear from himself that they are a little worried about going into that game tomorrow.
Makes sense, right? Again, as you heard from them, they've got a lot of learning to do, adapting to what is a new jungler that is the entire team has to shift around this. So
yeah,
and a little bit to be afraid of perhaps in your opponents tomorrow.
Maybe. Well, the Dare MVP is ready, and ladies and gentlemen, I don't think anyone's going to be surprised that it is Puma coming through with a clean KDA 10, 0, and 5 to kick off the second split of the year. 62% KP and a big old damage share.
Looking like Iron Man himself with that pose, a really good choice, but nothing, well, it was too expected that he will have such a good KDA going against Gravitas, and he's always my pick if I was to choose an ADC to lane with in solo queue.
You know what I just realized?
Yeah?
They beat Nautilus. If anyone knows how to make Nautilus die a lot,
look, I was so careful because I was like, do I go in game 1, right? Because it was a frosty Nautilus, and I was thinking, Corporal's probably thinking, boys, like I've got to redeem myself.
That thing's going 0-10.
I know how to beat this because I've been beaten by it. Yeah.
A little bit of revenge, maybe, just to sweeten things up. Coming into Split 2, look, are we going to see Corporal play Naut? Is he going to pick it up here locally?
Sure.
It's not even good anymore.
No.
Well, it was picked this game.
Yeah, it's not even good anymore.
Surely just go Leona over Nautilus.
Have you seen a Nautilus or Leona in solo queue?
No, because everyone's been playing
Yeah,
Yumi.
I see everything.
No,
I saw you queuing up today, actually. Yeah. Crazy, man.
Crazy. Now, look, you guys at home, from the fans, you were telling us who you're most excited to see this split, and we got a few more submissions, so let's see what you have sent in. We got JB. Mammoth for sure this time. Well, that's not a player, but he's going to be supporting all of the Mammoth members, I guess. I think there has been a few roster shuffles there, and we'll go through those once we get them. Now, another submission coming through as well. What do we got here? It's Jaxus. I'll be supporting Dragku, gapping Korea.
Carrier,
yep.
Yeah,
he is in Korea, though, right?
Two Yumi players going up against
I feel like the entirety of Twitter timelines living in Korea right now. I feel like every time I was scrolling through, there's always people saying, what should I make my summon name in Korea? And you're just thinking, is everybody just moving over there? Is it even Korean solo queue anymore?
Why wasn't I invited?
Yeah,
I just see pictures of why not, having dinner with the new pro player every single day.
Yeah.
The man is just,
he's networking well, hey.
He's living large, isn't he? Now, look, thank you, Jaxus. Thank you, JB, for those submissions. And if you want to tell us who you want to support this split, please send them in at LCO on the Twitter sphere, hashtag LCO as well. And we'll pull them up. We'll get your submissions in and we'll put them on the screen like you just saw. And then have a quick chin wag about it. Now, we do have a second game to get to, of course. So it is time to jump on into a break because that's where we got to go to get to match 2. It's Pentanet up against Kanga after this.
Nobody against the world. What can he do? The pillar goes down. Not to be found. Renstag 1, looking for a double. I've seen Puma win these. He's going for Floppy. Winning. He gets a double kill. He will literally fight his way out of this Baron pit. He does not seem to matter. Tyran rocks up and says, where is my team? How have they died? I thought we were meant to be jumping upon you. There's a triple kill. And now Puma's 8-0.
Hey, look. Menu bug.
them. You've got the American hot dog, an OG, a favorite, a fan favorite, absolutely. Then you've got the Kiwi hot dog, you know, the deep fried on a stick, absolute beauty. But then I was recently introduced to the Korean hot dog, and they put sugar. They put sugar on theirs.
Dog, Skimmy?
I'll get all of them, mate. All three. Lay them out and give me the muscle.
I think like
so I can try and emulate you guys and your biceps.
I think a few people missed that point of from the fans yesterday. I think you've missed the point here. I'm talking about what toppings on a normal hot dog.
Like an American hot dog.
Not just like
all the hot dogs.
A bloody, not a recipe with a Frankfurt involved. All right, that doesn't make it a hot dog.